All right, welcome back to the channel. Bob Arum and Terence Crawford in negotiations with Manny Pacquiao for a fight in Asia? Yeah, right. Let's talk about that and whether or not, whether or not that is really true or not in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. And also thank you so much everybody that supports the channel during this quarantine. Thank you so much to everybody that supports in the live streams, in the super chats. Thank you guys so much. The Cash App, thank you so much. And everybody that supports on Patreon. Let's get into this conversation. Bob Arum, answering questions for reporters, obviously, are said that, he's in conversation, or that Manny Pacquiao had reached out to him about a fight with Terence Crawford. But they might have to do the fight in Asia somewhere because of the restrictions, travel restrictions that are out there because of what's going on with this virus and this quarantine and all this stuff, which quite honestly seems to be loosening up a little bit for all the wrong reasons. But this is a boxing channel, not a political channel. So if you want to hear my explanation on that, you're going to have to go to the Patreon, because, hey, man, it's real funny out in these streets when you talk about this stuff. So go to the Patreon about that. I ain't going to talk about it here, but if you can tell by the fact that I spent 5 seconds on it, it's just garbage. But anyway, so people are looking to what's going to happen after this coronavirus, after all of this stuff is over with. And Bob Arum is saying that Manny Pacquiao, there's going to be issues with people fighting in the U.S., so maybe they can go to, somewhere in Asia. Couldn't be, somewhere in the Middle East, because, the price of oil dropped, so their value of their money has dropped, so they might be a little pressed for money right now, relatively speaking, but so that's what he says. Now, here's my thing. Bob Arum says that Manny Pacquiao has interest, that his team has reached out to him. This takes me back to the Jeff Horn, after the Jeff Horn fight, but slightly before the Jeff Horn fight with Manny Pacquiao, and after the Jeff Horn fight with Manny Pacquiao, leading up to the fight between Manny Pacquiao and Lucas Matisse, because that is, or Lucas Matisse, however you pronounce it, the Argentine former 140-pound champion who somehow got knocked out by Victor Postal, who had lost to Danny Garcia, but yet, I think he knocked out Lamont Peterson, that guy that Manny Pacquiao winds up stopping. And I think that's like the only knockout Manny Pacquiao's had since maybe Miguel Cotto. But anyways, those two fights, that's the time frame that I'm talking about, because that was the time in which Manny Pacquiao tried to pull away from Bob Arum. His contract had run out. I do believe that it was at the end of 2017 was the time when Manny Pacquiao and Manny Pacquiao's team had said that their contract had run out. And that was in between the Jeff Horn fight and the Lucas Matisse fight. So what happened in that particular instance was there was a lot of, Manny Pacquiao was saying, and his team was saying, out of newspapers in the Philippines, that they were outside of that contract. They were out of their contract, and Manny Pacquiao was proceeding with Manny Pacquiao Promotions, full speed, that he had negotiations for fights to be taking place with him and somebody, somewhere in, I can't even remember where that fight wound up taking place between Lucas Matisse, but it was somewhere outside of the United States. So Manny Pacquiao and Matisse was outside of the United States, and that they were going to do it without Bob Arum. But what they complained about was that Bob Arum when Manny Pacquiao had tried before to promote his own fights, Bob Arum had went behind his back, went straight to the people that he was planning on doing the fights with, the financial backers. As a matter of fact, what he's saying, he was looking to do fights in the Middle East. So that's not the first time. This is not the first time Bob Arum has said that the people in the Middle East never turned up with the money. However, strangely, when when Eddie Hearn goes to the Middle East, they show up with a whole lot of money for Anthony Joshua versus they show up with a lot of money for an Anthony Joshua fight with Andy Ruiz. But somehow with Manny Pacquiao, when Manny Pacquiao tries to work with people in the Middle East, they never show up with the money. But what happened, according to Bob Arum's team, this team member, because this was in like the newspaper out of the Philippines. The articles coming out of the Philippines. Is it WYN? Can't remember what the name, specifically what the name of that particular newspaper, but it's something like WYN, something like that. But they put out a lot of news out of the Philippines on Manny Pacquiao. And they said that Bob Arum would go to the financial backers, right? There's somebody on Manny's team accused Bob Arum of going to the financial backers for the fights that Manny Pacquiao was trying to set up and threatening him to sue him, representing him himself as somebody that had a valid contract with Manny Pacquiao, and if they proceeded and funded any fights for Manny Pacquiao, that Bob Arum would sue them for tortious interference with the contractual relationships that he had with Manny Pacquiao, and there you go. The fight gets shut down. So Manny Pacquiao finally gets away from Manny, and during that whole time, Manny Pacquiao's team is saying our contract is up. Bob Arum saying no, it's not. So then Manny Pacquiao winds up having the fight with very little involvement from Bob Arum, and Bob Arum making it sounding like he's involved in it, but yet sounding like it's not a fight that he particularly wanted. Then the next fight winds up after that. Then Manny Pacquiao signs an agreement to be advised by Al Heyman. Whatever that agreement is, I still don't understand exactly what that agreement is, obviously because I've not read it, but you go on there. So here we have in that period of time, a clear issue between Bob Arum and Manny Pacquiao, that leads to Manny Pacquiao to leave him and go to Bob Arum's arch rival to set up fights, very successful fights, by the way. Fights with Adrian Bronner, fights with Keith Thurman, both of which were pay-per-view fights, both of which got Manny Pacquiao back up to the money he was earning before he lost to Floyd Mayweather Jr. Because at Top Rank, once Manny Pacquiao lost to Floyd Mayweather Jr., Top Rank didn't have as much interest in him. And I do believe even once there was some fights that they even refused to put on pay-per-view. They didn't put Jeff Horn, Manny Pacquiao on pay-per-view, but PBC found a way to get Adrian Bronner and Manny Pacquiao on a pay-per-view. So my thing is, why would Manny Pacquiao then go back to Bob Arum to start talking about dealing for a fight with Terence Crawford now after all of that happened? Especially when you consider this, that Manny Pacquiao, at least Manny Pacquiao said that he was, and I believe Manny Pacquiao because something that Bob Arum said. Manny Pacquiao said that he doesn't know why Bob Arum did not give him the Terence Crawford fight, and that Manny Pacquiao wanted the Terence Crawford fight instead of Jeff Horn. But Bob Arum wouldn't give Manny Pacquiao the fight with Terence Crawford. He made him have a fight with Jeff Horn. So what did he do in this fight with Jeff Horn, by the way? Bob Arum sends Manny Pacquiao to Australia to fight Jeff Horn and puts in the rematch clause that any rematch between the two has to be in Australia. So for some crazy reason, Bob Arum's money, that's what the crazy reason is, Bob Arum's money, that Jeff Horn, who has no name, no clout, no leverage in and of himself, gets that sweet a rematch clause with Manny Pacquiao. And then when Manny Pacquiao loses to a dude who probably should have been fighting at 160 pounds, right? Should have been fighting at 160 pounds, who's a brawling, grappling dude, and miraculously, in a fight that was a close fight, Manny Pacquiao doesn't get the decision in a close fight. Like, a lot of people say that it was a robbery for Manny Pacquiao, that Jeff Horn, there was no way Jeff Horn won that fight. I don't believe that. I think it was a close fight. I give Jeff Horn credit for winning that fight. It was a close fight. It was a close, tough fight. You know, there were some points in time in that fight where Manny Pacquiao got hurt. Where Manny Pacquiao hurt Jeff Horn, and it looked like Manny Pacquiao might be able to get him out of there, but he didn't get him out of there. He survived. He wins the fight. But I just bring that up to show what was going on between Manny Pacquiao and Bob Arum. Why would Manny Pacquiao go back to Bob Arum to set up a fight for a guy? And let me be really clear what I'm saying. I'm believing that Bob Arum saw Jeff Horn as a up-and-coming fighter who he could sell and he could market, that he could then get to the WBO championship in the welterweight division, and then feed him tomato can after tomato can after tomato can that he could beat, but yet could sell him and market him the way that he selling and marketing Tyson Fury and Vasily Lomachenko at the expense and using Manny Pacquiao as the springboard to do so, instead of getting that fight to Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford is not somebody that Bob Arum believes is going to be highly marketable. Now, I can go back, and I will in this feature that I'm doing for the Patreon page on Terence Crawford, and I'm doing it for a bunch of different fights for a project that I got going on. But I can show you how it was never been the case with Bob Arum that he has been that he decided he was going to push Terence Crawford and market Terence Crawford as the next big star. Never has been the case. Terence Crawford's rise to stardom was fate for Terence Crawford, and something that Bob Arum stumbled upon, not something that he found and he believed that he was going to grow and put a lot of energy into. So I just have a very hard time believing that, number one, Manny Pacquiao is really going to enter into another agreement with Bob Arum, considering all that history. And number two, I don't believe that Bob Arum is serious about, even if he could get the Manny Pacquiao fight with Terence Crawford, I don't believe he would give that fight to Terence Crawford. If he had a choice, it would be somebody else in maybe a Teofimo Lopez. If Teofimo Lopez could beat Vasily Lomachenko, or he wanted to have a Vasily Lomachenko fight, because originally that's who Bob Arum wanted Manny Pacquiao to fight. He wanted Manny Pacquiao to be in a situation where they could match Manny Pacquiao and Vasily Lomachenko, and Manny Pacquiao could use Vasily Lomachenko could use an older Manny Pacquiao to elevate himself. And if you want to know why that could happen, no way Vasily Lomachenko could beat Manny Pacquiao, man, please. There ain't anybody slicker in the sport of boxing with making stuff go the way that they wanted to go than Bob Arum, man. Okay? And if you don't believe me, check his court records. Check his admissions of bribing people for I think it was the IBF. He might have bribed somebody in the IBF to get fighters rankings and stuff like that. Dude, he's not just, he's got every crooked skill in the book, every crooked trick in the book. Bob Arum and Top Rank know it and are more than willing to use it if they need to. Do not believe that they did not know about Antonio Margarito's gloves when he fought Miguel Cotto. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.